I speak so much about awakening and the various types of awakenings: the head, heart, the gut, the body, and then waking into the transcendence, and then waking down into the immanence of divinity being here now through you, through all of us. But today I would like to speak about connection and connecting to one another within one's humanity. It's such a vital part and of the web of existence, and it's something that has to be included. I think so many of us are feeling heartbroken about what's taking place right now on the planet with all the wars and inequality and discrimination and lack of resources for so many, you know, the unfairness of life in general that has to do with the way humanity is playing itself out. And there can naturally be, as a result, a disconnect from from feeling connected to the whole and feeling connected to one another, as if there's a loss of trust that's taking place. Are we really in our core good? And can we still believe that humanity can make it and that we can be kind to one another? The proof in the news is it doesn't look good. It doesn't look good. And and here we are. And I know there's so much goodness to be shared. And I see evidence of it all the time. And I like myself to be able to participate and share on this connection with one another. So belonging, why it matters. And belonging to with spirit, right? That's the whole awakening piece into what we are in truth. Belonging here and feeling connected to Mother Earth and to all life and nature. Belonging with this mother that we live on and emerge from and return to. So we have the spirit and we have the earth, and then we have one another, right? We have one another. Of course, that can include animal life and plant life and all that. But right now I'm talking about humanity and how bereft and lost and lonely one can feel when we don't have a connection to feeling one another, and isolated, right? Really, really, really isolated. And that and in that connection, it's not just in the joy of sharing, in participating in something, sharing a meal, co-creating a garden together, or a creative project, or a family dynamic. It's not only in that kind of connection, but also we share humanity with the fact that we suffer and that we have sorrow. And boy, is there a lot to be sorrowful for right now. There's a lot of sorrow going on. I feel it. I feel it all the time. The impact of disconnection, of how separation is playing itself out, and how we're treating one another. The impact on the heart, the impact on the soul, and the impact on the body and the belly, how it scrambles the mind. How can this be? How can this be that we have such potential and this is what we're still doing to one another? There's still greed being played out. There's still us and them being played out. There's still the fear of survival and hoarding, which goes along with greed, of course, being played out. There's still a belief that one is better than another in any kind of way, whether it's race, color, sex, country, ethnicity. One is better than another. How can that be? We are all God's children, And we all deserve to be here and to be able to participate and share in the resources that are here and contribute to what's possible. And right now, this is not exactly what's happening. I mean, if we're lucky, some of us, to live in a place where that's not being played out exactly, it's still being played out in different ways, even among friend groups or colleagues or something. There's still this competition in the background that can be taking place. It's strange and weird, even in the spiritual arena. So let me bring it to the spiritual world, because I'm a spiritual teacher and this is a spiritual channel. But it's a life channel. It's a life reality that I share about reality. What's possible here? What's possible? And one of the things that's possible is that we collaborate and that we sink into our hearts and feel the caring, feel the innate caring that is here and that arises out of, hopefully, a spiritual awakening and understanding of our intrinsic wholeness. How is it supposed to show up once you know that you're that? Once you know that you are the divine in form, and then the divinity knows itself as form, and then it wants to participate and be here in life in an awake manner. And what would an awake manner look like? It would also look like a loving manner and not want to hurt, betray, and leave people out of the goodness that is here. And if there's still confusion, which can still exist for a long time as to how to treat one another, that refines over time, and that we share in our vulnerability and in our sensitivity and our insecureness, even if maybe I don't really know how to do this human thing so well. Maybe it hasn't been modeled. Maybe up to now there's been a holding back of wanting to participate, of wanting to feel connected, of wanting to feel disarmed and touched by the truth of the matter is that I really care. And that doesn't mean we don't maintain boundaries and use our energy in a way that is purposeful and useful, right? But there's sort of this, in the great undoing of the spiritual awakening journey, part of the undoing is how we relate to being here, how we're living our lives, how we relate to Mother Earth. Do we see her as a commodity, or are we feeling connected and one with her and we wouldn't want to hurt what we are one with? And how are we relating to animals and nature, and finally to one another? How is it that some people are still hurting someone they say they love, for instance? How is that even possible? And not take responsibility afterwards, if there's responsibility to be taken. There's so much denial and repression and pushing away of what hurts, that there's this lack of learning and refinement that is possible when we acknowledge that we are fallible and we're going to mess up and we're not perfect. And there's so much more to learn about being human, about being here, and what our potential is. Okay. So humanity, spirit, earth, belonging to all, and as a circle, as a web of life, humanity, spirit, Mother Earth, and all life, one big circle, including ourselves, including our own sovereignty, our autonomy in there, but not in being isolated. That time of individualism is past. We're needing to be more of a collective. If really, truly, we're going to even survive here, really, truly, the time of being individualistic all me oriented. And isn't that the spiritual journey? To dismantle, undo the separate self me, that me nucleus that is pits itself against life and against others, and needs to protect itself, right, and defend and hoard. So right now in this time, just take a moment and see, where is it that you could maybe work on your relationship to being part of the tribe of humanity? Do you have resistance to it? Do you even want to be human? And I'm not saying human is a thing. Human is what we are. Trees are treeing. I mean, these are labels, right? And mountains are mountaining. Well, as humans, we're humaning, and we have a particular setup here. Our consciousness is able to look at itself. That's called self-consciousness. Where we feel in a certain way, we sense in a certain way, we have different qualities to us, where we can feel sadness and anger and all these things that are part of the humaning that is still continued within the landscape of awakening. There's still humaning happening, personality happening. Yes, so much does get liberated. And what I'm talking about is the liberation of it. What I'm talking about is the potentiality of God knowing itself here as you and I and everything, in a conscious way, in an awake way, and aware of itself. And then refining and saying, well, how does it want to live? It doesn't want to live in unconsciousness in terms of acting out, misbehaving, being unkind, betraying, lying, cheating, stealing, whatever, small little ways, even minute ways. Feeling one another all around the planet as one great whole. That is me over there as a child starving. That is me over there with a billionaire bunker. That is me over there wanting to go to Mars because this is no longer inhabitable. Well, that is me over here wanting it to be habitable and not lose connection to what's possible here. That's me over here healing still. That's me over here in a process of a health issue, going through something. That's me over here aging. That's me over here being youthful, young, and dynamic and starting life out. That's me over here feeling hopeless and wondering, what is this all about? Feeling some nihilism, existential angst. All of this is us. It's all the one with the many facets. And honestly, my heart breaks a little every day, sometimes a little more. Sometimes there's tears for the suffering that's taking place. There's also joy and beauty every day. And that's paradox, how both can coexist. The paradox of reality. Emptiness and form, here and not here, born and not born. A human being and free of any labels. Suffering and full of joy. And all those paradoxes coexist here now. And rather than feeling separate and disconnected at this time that is such a difficult time, I think our invitation and to rise to the occasion is to unite and to feel connected. What is awakening even for otherwise? But to be here for one another and to support one another and to raise one another up and to love one another and to give and to receive, to learn to receive, to be a circle of interconnection. Warm wishes as always. Be well.